1. After our relief night audit decided she didn't need to work anymore, said decision was communicated at 9 p.m., when her shift was at 11 p.m., leaving me effectively trapped in a 17-hour shift and without days off this week. I came today to work my 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. with my fake smile on, because boy, if we don't smile at you while you check in. I came early as usual to catch up on things before my shift, and this lady and her mother came in wanting to check in an hour and a half earlier, because she doesn't care our check-in time is at 3 p.m. She is already here, and that is all that matters. Oh boy, great start already. Luckily, all the rooms were cleaned and are ready to go, so I'll just get you out of my face first. Okay, ma'am, I just need your IDs and a credit card for parking. Where do I unload my stuff? Our parking lot is right across the street, and the spot you are in is not taken, so you won't have to move your car. There is a crosswalk a few feet away from the parking lot where we have a luggage cart in the lobby you can take across. Are you fucking kidding me? Where is the bellboy? This has to be a joke. You are not seriously expecting me to take my stuff myself. Had I known that, I wouldn't have stayed here. My mom is disabled. No, ma'am, it is 100% not a joke. We are a small hotel and our amenities are listed on the website. All the pictures of the exterior of the hotel are taken across the street in our parking lot, and you can clearly see there is no parking spot in front of the hotel but a sidewalk. If you had any questions, we are more than happy to answer them online or via email. Well, I didn't read any of that. I mean, I just chose you because you are the closest and cheapest to where I'm going. It's not my fault. You should tell people before they come about this. This is a huge inconvenience, and I expect to be compensated. No problem, ma'am. I totally understand if this is not ideal for you. We do have a guest satisfaction policy that gives you a full refund, and we'll cancel the reservation within the first 30 minutes of your stay. I can do that for you. So, now you're kicking me out. What kind of place is this? Are you fucking serious? As I said earlier, ma'am, no jokes today. She ends up checking in. She made sure to be super dramatic while taking the luggage cart across the street like it was Jesus with his cross, and then panting like a dog in the lobby while chugging the complimentary lemonade and gobbling down the complimentary cookies like a pelican would a fish. I had some people trying to check in, and some of them were trying really hard not to giggle at the over-dramatic performance this lady was giving. I thought that would be the end of that, but if anybody knows anything about front desk, is that the gods hate you, and you are here to suffer. 2 hours later, she calls from the street. Thank you for calling. My name is Mantuko. How can I help you today? Yeah, this is Crazy Karen. I'm calling to ask when does the jacuzzi close because my mom is tired and wants to use it tonight. The what? Sorry? The jacuzzi! Don't you understand English? Yes, I do, ma'am. I'm just a bit confused as we do not have one at the hotel. We do have rooms with a jetted tub, but all of them are booked tonight. Unfucking-believable! What do you mean there's no jacuzzi? I've stayed in other hotels of your brand, and they all have one. Nobody told me there wouldn't be a jacuzzi. Ma'am, can you please let me know who told you we had one? Again, all the things we offer are on our website. When you made your reservation online, you chose the room type you wanted, and all the rooms on the website have pictures with the full list of everything in them for you to choose. Yes, I know. Everything is my fault. I didn't read shit. I get it. Can you get me the name of a hotel nearby that would let me use theirs free? I'm sure if you explain how much you're inconveniencing us, they'll let you. That's not how it works, ma'am. No hotel will let you use their facilities for free. Well, can you just ask another guest to let me use theirs? My mom is in a lot of pain from walking, and you are making our stay so difficult. You should be ashamed of yourself for ruining our trip. Nope. I can't ask another guest to let you use what they pay to use. Wouldn't be fair. Anything else I can help you with today? She hangs up. She hasn't come back for the day, but I'm sure it will be a lovely conversation when she comes back. Luckily, I put post-its everywhere, left a note in her reservation, and already sent my email to corporate and management, so she doesn't get comp shite. So there you have it, folks. 2. Background. This is my first front desk job anywhere, and I've been here about 2 months and I haven't encountered anything bad yet. as I am on the audit shift 3 times a week, and this is a place everyone is sleeping by midnight. This is a small 55-room inn in a small 5-minute town where nothing happens. Anyways, so I show up for my 3 to 11 p.m. shift and get settled in. A gentleman shows up about 10 minutes later, asking if I had a reservation under a specific name. I didn't, nor did I have the other 2 names he tried. He only had a small lockbox and 2 full grocery bags with him, and is a scrawny short guy in a hoodie. I don't get any weird vibes at the time, unfortunately. Over the next hour, he goes between trying a couple more names to trying to contact someone about the reservation he supposedly has, and trying to find if it's at a hotel near us. At 5-ish, he pulls out some takeout food boxes and sets up in our dining area in our small lobby, and proceeds to kneel down and full-on arms open pray relatively loudly in our silent lobby for 15 minutes. At this point, I start feeling really uncomfortable. I try to go get the manager who lives on property, but 4 guests walk in, and I was always taught help guest first and foremost. Hence where my ignorance comes in. He seems back to normal during all the check-ins, and I forget that he's sitting there. Within 10 minutes of everyone leaving the lobby, though, he comes up half crouching, half freaking out, saying he needs behind the front desk. Because there's feds in the rooms just into the hall, and they're gonna come shoot him if he doesn't hide now. I'm stern with him, and I tell him no, I cannot allow him behind the desk. He then tries to get into our locked breakfast room desperately and almost breaks the lock when I loudly tell him I cannot let him into locked rooms. So he freaks out more, saying I'm gonna get him shot in the head, and hides behind our couch. I take the moment to run to my manager, saying, "Help, creepy guy tried to get into secure areas due to feds trying to shoot him." So she comes out and gets into the lobby and tells him to get out now or she's calling the cops. And the dude says, "Please." Like, what the fudge? He begs her to call the cops because he fears for his life. So she calls them and asks him the questions the cops are asking her about him, and he's just casually answering them and begging for them to get here fast. She gets off the phone as he's trying to disturb a guest walking in the hall, who just so happens to be a state park sheriff, asking him his room and stuff. Thankfully, my manager gets in between them and tells the creep to leave guests alone and get out. Guy finally walks outside, but continues to try and converse while freaking out to the guests of all people. Cops finally show up and get him trespassed, and takes about 10 minutes for the guy to finally start walking away. Cops come back in and finish paperwork. Tells me to call them if he comes back. Manager and I have a small powwow what to do if this occurs again type of thing, because she didn't know anything about this guy until I came running for help. I thought that was that and all was good for the night. But of course, this is not the end. It gets even better. So I'm sitting at the camera feed searching and chilling out while finishing up an email to the manager about the incident with the camera timestamps, when 5 more cops come to the door. One came to me asking if I heard gunshots and specifically asking for ground room 3. Of course, that's right next to my desk area, and I mentioned I heard a moment of loud voice right before they came in, but definitely no guns. The cop who asked me the questions goes to the back door and tells the rest of the cops in the group what I said, and they all come barging in and start heading to the rooms. I called my manager's direct number as soon as I saw the cops again, because I had no clue why, and she came out right as they walked by the desk. Apparently, a guy called in saying he heard gunshots from room 103. So manager is like, "No, you can't just go back there and disturb guests." And they all go, "Yes, we can," and start walking again. Granted, this is barely 6 o'clock now, so we've had 2 sets of cops in half an hour now. My manager goes back with the cops and knocks on the door. No answer, so she calls him from the front desk. Again, no answer. She grabs a key and they all go and check out the room. As far as I'm aware, she either wasn't in there or she was asleep, because I didn't hear anything more, nor did I see anything happen. When I checked the lady into that room, she was a super small, young, skinny lady who said she was super tired and had just run a 34-mile marathon earlier today. Definitely not a lady to cause gunshots off appearances alone. But get this, the guy came back in while all the cops were still here. Like, what kind of a loon comes back immediately after getting trespassed? I hollered down the hall for the manager, and she had 2 cops come and literally shove him back out the door while he's hollering about someone shooting and stuff. I didn't quite catch it all because our phone rang. They get the guy gone. The cops all leave the ground room, and manager comes back. And they leave and take the guy with, and that's all I know. But seriously, what the fudge? The worst thing I've handled before this was a guy being mad that his hooking.com told him we were pet-friendly, when we definitely are a pet-free location. Definitely does it not say anywhere that we allow pets, nor has it ever. I definitely know now to always get the manager if someone without a reservation is in our lobby longer than 10 minutes max. 3. I work as the assistant manager of a 300-unit condominium association. Started from the bottom as a concierge, and I've dealt with my fair share of bullshit that you guys probably can relate to. Domestic dispute calls, bougie guests, residents that treat us like the help, putting my foot down when someone steps out of line or tries to tell me how to do my job, etc. Since I don't really deal with guests, instead more with owners and their guests, and this usually spans over the course of years, I've had to deal with a lot of things you might not see at a front desk in a hotel. This is kind of a rant about some of those instances involving one particular person. I just really need to get it off my chest because I fucking hate this stupid bitch with a passion. So I'm going to call her Stubby from here on out. When I started out here, Stubby was a model resident. She was pleasant to work with, real nice, respectful, no issues ever. A few years ago, however, she hired one of my maintenance guys to do some renovations and remodeling to her unit. Now, in a condo, this isn't anything abnormal. In fact, we encourage my guys to do side jobs off the clock and on their days off. Me and my boss vouch and back my guys 100%. They're not the type to do things half-assed or bite off more than they can chew. Anyways, while my guy was working in Stubby's condo, he originally gave her a proposal and an estimate for work which she approved. As he went about doing the work, she changed her mind, and he accommodated it. Then she changed her mind again, and he'd accommodate it. These were little things, like putting a thermostat on a wall, then relocating it to another, then relocating it back, painting the bedroom ceiling one color, then not liking the choice. Bear in mind all these changes cost money, but my guy did the additional work for free as a favor. Eventually he got fed up and said he'd do the work as specified, and that the cost would be the same as before, no more, no less. So he did, expecting to go their separate ways, and that would be that. Not at all. She later sued him as well as our condo association, which forced my boss to appear in court as well. Went to court, and the judge threw out her case and said she didn't have any grounds for a lawsuit or damages, or any kind of negligence. I wish I could say it stopped there, but it didn't. Stubby was out with a vengeance, and went out of her way to make our lives working here as miserable as possible. Below are a few examples. One time we had contractors working in the garage doing concrete repairs on a Saturday afternoon. Not only did Stubby raise hell with my weekend part-timers who were, for lack of a better term, unqualified to make judgment calls concerning issues like this, but Stubby also called the cops on the contractors specifically to report a noise complaint on them. Stubby's unit is nowhere near the garage. She saw them working on the way to and from her car. This is the day my boss got tired of her shit and told her to fuck off. Just to kind of explain the relationship between Stubby and my boss, Stubby actually got together with another troublemaking tenant. She rented another unit. And that person's boyfriend, an owner in another unit, was also a former lawyer. Not only did these three attempt to weasel the boyfriend into one of the seats on the board of directors, but their intention was to get him on and to try to find a way to get my boss to quit or have him forcibly fired for negligence. Another time, Stubby raised hell in my boss's office, calling him an asshole and refusing to leave, which forced my boss to have to call the cops on her. In fact, any and all staff interactions with this woman follow a general pattern of her repeating questions in different ways for the sole purpose of fishing information to use against us. Last time we had to do concrete repairs on all the balconies of the building. Stubby waited until my boss was on vacation to send out a mass email to all other residents mid-construction, just prior to the onset of winter. She brought up that the repair should be postponed due to cold weather in the email. Mind you, the temps were within spec, but the issue raised enough collective concern amongst a handful of residents that the president of our condo's board of directors, who are just average Joe homeowners, had to make the executive call to postpone the entire project until my boss got back. It didn't stop there, though. She then in turn waited till the contractors taped off and secured her balcony door to contact the city inspector, who then forced us to stop work for a second time. And to add insult to injury, she was unable to use the balcony during that time. For liability and safety reasons, the doors were sealed from the outside. Stubby came down and harassed my desk staff every single day during that time to complain about having to store her things in her unit during that time. I am quite literally the only member of staff who still treats this person with some level of civility and decency, even through all the hell she puts me and my staff through. Believe me, each one of these incidents I personally had to step in between to help resolve or to assist in finding a resolution for. This year is going to be my last year here. Before I leave, I'm going to tell her I am genuinely sorry for what you've gone through, and I'm happy you're in good health. With that said, you're a sad, miserable bitch, and I couldn't be more happier to be rid of you. I hope I never have to deal with the likes of you ever again between now and the day you die, and when the 299 other residents ask my staff why I no longer work here, I will be sure that the answer they give them is because I got tired of dealing with residents like Stubby. 4. I am working 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. for our front desk manager who is out for a week. And at 10:15 a.m. a taxi pulls up to the front door and proceeds to help a lady out of the car into a wheelchair. We had our front door turned off automated open to help keep out a bunch of snow-like styrofoam from some work being done. So I went to open the door for her. And as I opened the door, she immediately starts telling me, "Is someone going to help me? I need help getting in." I asked her how I can help her, as I was thinking she needed help because her hands were full, and she could not operate the wheelchair. She then is practically yelling at me that she needs a bellboy to wheel her in. Don't you have someone who can do that? I calmly explained to her that we do not have a bellboy, as we are not that kind of hotel. For reference, we are a comfortable hotel at about $100 a night, so by no means fancy. She then makes a comment that she is from New York, as if that makes a difference. The conversation then goes as such. "I can wheel you in." "Yes, you'll need to. I need help." I start to wheel her inside and ask as we are going in, "Do you have a room with us?" "I'm going to get one with you guys." "I will not be able to check you in until around 3 p.m. this afternoon." "Oh, I know, it's like that everywhere. I just need a phone to call my daughter. She has all my stuff." "I can let you use the phone, that's fine." Meanwhile, the cab driver still needs to be paid and is standing by looking at me like WTF. I hand her our cordless phone, and as she is dialing she says, "Oh, I still have to pay him," referring to the cab driver. "Yes, ma'am, you should probably take care of that first." She reaches her daughter or whoever over the phone. "Do you have all my stuff? Okay, good. I'm at the place. Give him my information." Then proceeds to hand me the phone back. "Here, she has my ID and my CC information." "Ma'am, as I have said, I will not be able to check you in until 3 p.m. today. It is only 10:30 right now, and I will need to see your ID and method of payment to check you in." Not even taking the phone back from her, she puts the phone back to her ear, but continues talking to me. "Oh, I know, that's how it is at most of these places." Then she hangs up the phone and gives it back to me. Of course, now I am thinking she needs more than just a wheelchair and should have a caregiver with her as well, and tell her I need to close the door because we are trying to keep the styrofoam snow out of our lobby. "Smoking! I don't smoke. I know there is no smoking." "No, ma'am, I said styrofoam. I did not say anything about smoking." This whole time the cab driver is still standing here and has not said word one, but she finally starts to get her purse out to pay him. She pulls out like $3 bills and then starts pulling out change, at first a few quarters, but slowly turning into dimes and nickels. "Ma'am, is your daughter coming to pick you up?" "You don't have a handicapped room for me?" "As I have explained twice already, I cannot check you in until closer to 3 p.m. today." She finishes giving the cab driver money, I think. I'm not even sure she paid what she owed him, but that is not really my issue. She then grabs her large iced coffee drink and tries to get her other stuff set into her lap, and then scoots herself facing the front door, and sits there for a minute until she says, "I need help. Can someone push me out?" I walk back around the desk and help push her back out, where she sets her coffee on the trunk of the cab, which for some reason still has not left. As I said, he may not even have got his fare money yet. "Well then, I just need to use a phone." She turns to the cab driver. Can I use your phone? You can use this phone again if you need to call your daughter back. I hand her the phone back and she dials a number. Hi, it's me again. Do you have all my stuff? I know, but I couldn't bring everything with me. I have a broken back, so I packed what I could. Okay. He then proceeds to try to hand me the phone back, telling me again, she will get you my ID and credit card info. I don't even attempt to take back the phone. Ma'am, I have already told you a few times we are not checking you in right now. Now I am going to have to ask you to leave the property at this time. She holds the phone to her ear. Did you hear that okay? I guess I need a ride. Bye. She then hangs up the phone and turns back to me and says, I know I have to wait to check in. It's that way at all hotels. You have not been listening to me though, as I have told you that 3 times now. My kids don't listen either. I'm always having to tell them the same things over and over. I take the phone back and come back inside. She kept the cab driver out there for at least 20 to 30 minutes more, with him actually getting on his cell phone. Not sure what for, but it would not surprise me if she did not even have the money to pay him. About 10 minutes after the cab driver left, I did get a call from a lady asking about WG, essentially apologizing for her behavior and that she was on her way to get her. I told her it was not a problem, but there was nothing I could do for her and she was not acknowledging the fact that she could not check in at this time. About 10 minutes later, WG was picked up by someone, but we did not hear back from any of them. So I am hoping they got everything situated. 5. I'm a college student, 21 male who's been working the front desk for over 3 years now for a major international hotel chain. My property is fairly small, relatively, and we're located on the outskirts of a major city in the northeast. This means that we have the lowest prices for people who want to travel to said major city. This also means we get our fair share of insane people from time to time, because prices are lower. Funny how that works. I can write a novel on all my experiences here. Enjoy this one. This tale happened just a couple days ago, but a guest is surprisingly not the antagonist. I started my 3 to 11 shift and everything seemed fine at first. There were very few check-ins to do, and the housekeepers were just finishing up cleaning the remaining rooms. It was going to be a very slow day, which I have no problem with considering I'll just sit back in the office waiting for the phone to ring. Right as I show up to the desk, a man asks if he can have a can of Coke that we sell behind the desk. I give it to him free of charge because he seemed cool, and he mentioned he must have misplaced his bottle Coke in his room. Foreshadowing. We'll call this guy Joe. I then notice he's a top-tier rewards dude. Some of the housekeepers start bringing down their completed housekeeping sheets, showing which rooms have been cleaned, which are stayovers, vacancies, etc. We have a new housekeeper who had just finished training, so now she was cleaning rooms on her own, Steph. I go through her sheet and everything seems in order. The rooms she was assigned were all on the 3rd floor, important for later. She leaves right after she hands me her sheet. About half an hour later, I get a call from a room on the 3rd floor. They said that their room was not cleaned, even though they did not put a Do Not Disturb (D&D) sign on their door. I checked who was assigned that room. Steph. I figured I'd cut her some slack considering she just got out of training and might have just missed that room. But I noticed that she marked this particular room as clean on her sheet, so I'm not sure what to think. Then the guest tells me that they left a tip for the housekeeper, and that's gone, which he mentions he figured it would be, but he expected the room to be cleaned. I apologized and I tell the guest I'll have another housekeeper come up to service their room before they head home. This is stage 1. Less than 20 minutes after the first incident, I get a call from another room on the 3rd floor. In fact, this room is adjacent to the room that called earlier. The guest in this room also tells me that their room was not serviced, even though they didn't have their D&D sign up. I checked the housekeeping sheets and sure enough it was Steph's. The room was marked clean. At this point I'm already pretty pissed because the housekeepers are gone for the day, and I have to do Steph's job for her. I service the room and the guest also tells me their bathtub is clogged, which they mentioned to Steph. It was still clogged. After taking care of that, I decide to give my manager a call and let him know what's going on. This is stage 2. A couple hours go by of watching YouTube videos and trying to keep myself awake. Then these 2 guests approach the desk. One of them is Joe, and he's with a buddy, we'll call him Rob. He's also a top-tier rewards dude who's staying in a room next to him. Here's the conversation that followed.
Hey man, remember how I said I thought I misplaced my Coke in my room? Yeah, I'm also missing some gummy bears and a few other snacks in there too. I know for sure I left those in my room. Also, I had some spare change on my nightstand and that's totally gone too.
Yeah, and I checked my room too. A bunch of my stuff got rearranged and I noticed my wallet was messed with. Some of the cash was sticking out and a couple of coins I had are now gone too.
Also, I had my D&D sign up on my door, so nobody should have had access to my room in the first place.
This is stage 3. I seriously did not know how to respond to anything they just told me. The first question I was able to mutter was, "Are you guys both staying on the 3rd floor?"
Yep.
Steph was assigned to both of their rooms. Now, I usually side with my housekeepers and my colleagues on pretty much anything, but I was almost certain that after all the incidents today that Steph had to be responsible for this. Joe and Rob said that they're planning on speaking to my manager because they don't want Steph working here anymore, which I don't blame them for. I apologized profusely and compensated their rooms for the night, but there was really nothing more I could have done at that point. Fast forward 30 minutes, I get a call from Rob. He's with Joe.
Hey man, I just checked my credit card statement and it says that my credit card was used at a Wendy's down the street from the hotel while I was downtown. I was away from the area when it was used and it definitely was not used by me.
You guessed it, stage 4.
At this point I'm flabbergasted. That's an actual crime that someone would have to pay for. I've heard of housekeepers stealing stuff in the TV and shit, but never have actually I heard of one doing it so blatantly. Never mind in my own property. Rob and Joe say that they're planning on filing a police report now, along with speaking to my manager and so forth. I give my manager a call and explain to him what's happening now. He was just as speechless as I was. Then I give Steph a call.
Hello?
Hey, Steph, it's me at the hotel. Just calling to let you know that we won't need you to come in tomorrow. We have enough housekeepers. Also, the manager wants you to come in on Tuesday to talk to you about something in person.
That's fine. And what does he want to talk to me about?
I really have no idea. See you Tuesday. Needless to say, I don't think Steph is going to be working with us for much longer. Today is Tuesday and I am here for my same shift, but apparently Steph never showed. In all fairness, I'm not sure if we should assume Steph stole from these guests, but there is almost nothing else we can hypothesize. Even if she didn't steal, she would have no doubt been sacked for not doing her job in the first place. I never really liked her anyways. The housekeeper told me that she saw Steph munching on a whole load of Wendy's that same afternoon. I'd say that's all we need to move forward. Update. The day after I posted the original story. Word of all the incidents I had to deal with regarding Steph and the 2 guests, Joe and Rob, had already spread. That night I informed the night auditor, who in turn left notes for the morning shift front desk peeps. Then the other housekeepers found out. I came into work a couple days after and was barraged with questions from all of the above, and explained everything to them too. What I really wanted to do was talk to my manager to get an update on the whole situation. As I mentioned before, I called Steph and informed her that I took her off the schedule, and that the manager wanted her to come in on Tuesday morning to talk to her about something. Obviously, I never told her what that something was about. My manager told me that she never showed up. Not only did she not show up Tuesday, but she never showed up for the shifts that she was already scheduled to come in for that week. I only removed her from the schedule that Monday because my manager was planning on coming in for Memorial Day. So that's already a bad sign. Like I mentioned before, we really wanted to treat it like an innocent until proven guilty sort of scenario. But that might as well be thrown out the window. Furthermore, my manager has been texting and calling her numerous times throughout the week, only for her never to respond or pick up. A side note that I forgot to mention before, Steph also worked with one of the new laundry girls we recently hired. In fact, I think they were hired together and were already friends before they started working here. I would always see them together during my shifts. After the Steph incident, we kinda assumed that laundry girl would also stop showing up, but she still did, and never mentioned a single thing about Steph. An accomplice? Maybe she's in on it, who knows. But LG is not ratting out her girl anytime soon. But the schedule was updated for this week and LG was nowhere to be seen. She also just stopped showing up and never returned any of my manager's calls or texts. Peace out, LG, I also never really liked you. While the week passed and manager has been trying to get in contact with Steph, he also had to deal with Joe and Rob. Never realized the irony of his fake name until now. I find this part of the story pretty interesting. From what I was told, Joe and Rob never tried to pursue a police report, nor did they mention anything of the situation when they checked out. They got in contact with my manager after they had already left. They explained that they didn't care for the money stolen since it was only spare change, and they already had their credit cards cancelled, reissued, etc. All they asked for was Steph to be fired. Check. Steph was informally fired as she was never heard from again. There was no need to get police involved. No need to do deep detective work as far as getting receipt and credit card information from the Wendy's down the street. And no negative reviews left from Joe and Rob. They didn't want no smoke, great. My manager figured it was not nearly worth all the trouble of trying to go after Steph, as the guest didn't care anymore. She wouldn't be working here anymore, and she didn't really take anything from our property. But that doesn't mean she was let off the hook. My manager got in contact with the owner of our hotel, who also happened to own multiple properties in surrounding areas. Steph was essentially blacklisted from employment, not only in the owner's properties but across the entire hotel brand. Even though there was no legal case to be pursued, I'd say Steph was in just as much shit if she ever tries to get employed at another hotel. I hope that Wendy's was worth it. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Coahw number 21. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Thank you kindly to those of you who joined me for the stream at the weekend. That was two I did last week. There was a test one, which became a big one. And then we did one on Saturday where I took you on all sorts of adventures. It was very exciting. I'm hoping when the Messy Desk guys, formerly Stage 9, when they're done with their Orville recreation, I'll be able to show that for you. I think that should be okay to do. I'm fairly sure that'll be okay to do. So I'll take you on a tour of that, and it should be quite fun, especially in virtual reality. There'll be 2 versions of that available. And I think that's about 2 weeks away from what I'm understanding, so I'll certainly I'll get a stream going when that's available. Not sure what we'll be doing for the next one. I'll try and come up with something interesting. Even if it's just finding interesting locations on Google Earth, I'll make a note of the addresses and that just so we can use them and get to them easier. So when we're searching. Okay, and with that I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.